So don't let them tell you that this is not a grassroots issue, and we can't let them define opposition to data centers as terrorism. And it's going to be used, as always, as a crackdown on society. So they're going to use data centers, our opposition to them, to crack down on us, and then they're going to use the compute power of the data centers to crack down on us. So as you can see, it just ain't no. It looks to me to be a no-win situation. You don't want these everywhere.
Get ready for news and views from Lubbock, Texas, USA. What's going on and real talk with people who move and do things. This is the Focus LBK Show with your host, Robert Jenkins.
Hey, what's good, friends? This is Robert Jenkins coming to you with Season 3, Episode 141 of the Focus LBK Show. Today, I'm going to do something I don't usually do, and I'm going to talk about a subject for 2 weeks in a row. Last week, I talked about data centers, and I really didn't get as deep as I wanted to get into it. And the reason is because, like most people, man, I just don't have a lot of time. You're working, and you got your job, you got your family, you got your life. But you know what? In this case, I just realized it's important to go on, and if we want to keep our jobs, families, and lives, I say maybe I better double up on this topic. Because what happens is I know and understand a few things about data center, not because I've been studying data centers, but because I've been studying the intel side of things, the capability that they have to track and trace us and scan us, and really to control us and monitor us is what it's all about. So I've been studying that for a while, and because of that, I think that's given me some insight into how data centers will eventually be used. And from what I can tell, they're going to be used in an evil way, what I would call an evil way, to track, trace, scan us, and control us. They're going to be used to surveil us, in other words. You know, some people say I don't have nothing to hide, so I don't mind if they surveil me. But I tell you what, the old saying, people who talk like that, that's the credo of slaves. Slaves say they don't have nothing to hide, while the master keeps all his stuff private. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a slave to anybody. At least I aspire to not be a slave to anybody. I aspire not to be in debt. I inspire not to have all my details out in public. Those things that make you slaves nowadays. Anyway, on this data center tip, the understanding that I have, the little bit of understanding that I have, is based on the fact that I've been studying related issues for a couple of decades, and even kind of messed around with it when I was in the military a little bit, on the intel side of things. Anyway, for as far as I can tell, these data centers are really just designed, again, to track and trace us and surveil us, and I just couldn't put that into the words that I wanted to put into. Y'all know how you know something, but you don't have time to sit down and write it all out? Well, you don't have to do that, and I don't have to do that, because I found an article on Substack, and it's going to be linked down below. But in this article, I don't know anything about the author. You can't tell. They're writing behind a pseudonym. But they seem to be spelling out precisely what I already kind of understood about data centers. They just finally put it into words in a way that I'm like, see, that right there. Thank you. So the article that I want to talk about and then launch into some further analysis, the article is called AI Data Centers, the real reason they're going up everywhere, who's paying for them, why it's happening this fast, what the build out is for, and why you should care. AI data centers, the real reason they're going up everywhere, who's paying for them, why it's happening this fast, what the build out is for, what are they going to be used for, and why should you care? That's the name of the article. Kind of a long title, but it says it all. And like I say, it's linked down below, so check it out if you'd like. I'm just going to read y'all a couple of big sections from this article, because I think the guy nails it. And again, I don't know who the guy is because he's writing behind a pseudonym. And by the way, his pseudonym sounds really suspect. But anyway, I'm just going to leave that part alone. What he says in his article sounds about like what I understand myself. So he says what an AI data center actually is. AI data center sounds like a server room. I'm quoting. This is all a quote. When you say AI data center, it sounds like a server room, abstract, technical, somebody else's business. The vagueness is doing its work. You can't organize against something you can't picture in your mind. I'm saying picture in your mind. So here's what a data center is. It's a massive industrial facility, typically 500,000 to several million square feet. Tens of thousands of specialized processors in dense racks, each rack drawing more power than an average home. So every rack in there uses more power than an average home. There's tens of thousands of racks in them. A full data center can draw, that's my commentary, by the way. A full data center can draw 100 to over 1,000 megawatts. The largest data centers rival the power use of a mid-sized city. Let me say that again. The largest data centers out there rival the power use of a mid-sized city. Cooling the heat takes water, sometimes millions of gallons a day, pulled from local aquifers, rivers, or municipal supply. There are these big featureless buildings, no windows, razor wire, a facility that uses a city's worth of electricity, but might employ only 30 to 100 people. It exists to host computation. That's what it's there for. It's a brain. It's a little brain. It hosts computation. And in my interpretation, he's saying it hosts computation, not workers. So hardly anybody works there. And like that one they was talking about building up in Northeast Lubbock, I think the dude said it was going to have 25 or 30 employees for something that was, I think it was at 960 acres. A 960 acre facility. That's 960 football fields. If I'm not wrong on that, I'm still trying to find the documentation on that. But I think they said 960 acres when they gave the presentation at city council. Not at city council. I think it was a building permit meeting, whatever it was. Anyway, I think they said 960 acres. So you're going to have 960 football fields, or 960 soccer fields, I guess is more exact. 960 soccer fields, and all it's going to have in there working is maybe 30 people. And it's going to be using enough electricity to power another Lubbock, basically, is what the potential use is there. Now, they told us that the one they want to build on the northeast side, they said it's a closed loop cooling system, meaning it's going to take in probably several 100,000 or a million gallons of water at one time, supposedly, and then close it off, and it'll just do like a radiator in your car. It'll just circulate and keep it cool. That's what they said. Not inclined to take their word for anything, so whatever, they can say what they want. But what I just described is what a data center is. It's a facility that uses a city's worth of electricity and might employ up to 100 people to have basically a big old electronic brain that hosts the compute power for all these AI apps, AI uses, AI applications. And the guy goes on, he says, I'm going to be straight with you about what's documented and what's my take on it, and what's my read on it. He says, the documented boring use of these data centers is commercial. They train and run AI models and cloud services. He says that's real, but now he's going to inject his own informed opinion on it. He says, but I'm going to make the case that the strategic reason for the build out this fast, this coordinated, and this heavily financed, it's bigger than chatbots. It's bigger than chatbots. It's that these facilities are becoming the physical substrate for surveillance, digital identity, and behavioral data systems. And that the people funding these data centers have said this in public. You just have to look for this stuff and listen to it. It's going to be a boring talk by some bigwig somewhere. But when you actually listen to what he's saying, he's going to be saying it's going to be used to surveil you and control you. But that's my take on it, by the way. But what the guy says, what I'm writing here is, he says, when I cite a fact, I'm going to tell you that that's a fact, and I'll put a source on it. And he does. That's what's good about this article. It's not too long. It's medium length, but it has a lot of deep sources on it. Like, ooh, I ain't never heard of that. That's official. You click on that. That take you to some, oh, wow, okay. So the sources were pretty good on this, I'm saying. Now, he says when he's drawn his own conclusion, he's going to let you know that too. You can take these facts and you can disagree with my conclusion. This is what the article says. He says that's fair, but the facts are the facts. So you can disagree with his conclusions, but you can't necessarily disagree with the facts. They're verifiable facts. Now, having read that description of what he says a data center is, and as far as I can tell, that is exactly what a data center is. As far as my experience has led me to understand. I would just urge you to read the article. And some of the things that I took away after I read this article a couple times and thought about it, I thought there's very interesting things going on here. First of all, when you look at our so-called leadership class, the people, the billionaires that are trying to build these data centers and finance these data centers, they want to make you believe that everybody wants these. But actually, everybody I've talked to and everybody I've seen everywhere, and in all the looking that I've done, the searching that I've done, everybody is opposed to these data centers. It don't matter if you leftist person or a rightist person, you're in the middle. Everybody that I've talked to is mostly against these data centers or very against these data centers. There's a few people that's for them, but most everybody is against them. So what I would say is, I noticed they try to gaslight us because this dude named Kevin O'Leary, I think y'all probably know him. He from Shark Tank or something like that. I don't really watch TV, so I don't know, what he's from and all that. But he's a billionaire. I think he was on Shark Tank or one of them films with Trump, them shows with Trump. And he basically says, look, we're going to build, I think his data center that he's financing is like, oh man, it's the size of Manhattan, they said. It's in Utah, and it's the size of Manhattan. 66,000 acres or something like that. I don't know how big Manhattan is and don't care because I don't too much think about New York or give a crap about them. Did I say that? I meant to say, I'm just not too concerned about New York. But I don't know what a borough is, but my homeboy back in the military that was from New York told me that a borough is kind of like a county. So when they say it's the size of Manhattan, I guess that's a borough, and it's kind of like a county. It's not the size of a county, but it's like a county in function. So what I'm hearing is that it's bigger than a city. Then again, it's New York and everything is little and tight and close together, so it's hard to tell. Point is, a large municipal entity, the data center this guy Kevin O'Leary is building in Utah or wherever it was, it's the size of Manhattan. It's the size of a municipal unit, a city or something, maybe a county. I don't know, parish. He's building something that's like 66,000 acres big. It's gonna clearly it's gonna take a city's worth of electricity or more, a city's worth of water or more, or a fraction of a city's worth of water. We don't know exactly how much yet. The point is, when he was talking about building his data center, this was on Tucker Carlson the other day, the guy was saying that if you are against data centers, that's because you're being swayed by Chinese propaganda. No. Nobody. You ain't gaslighting nobody over here. He thought, really? Everybody I done talked to is against this, but somehow it's Chinese propaganda. This bipartisan, folks. You don't get bipartisan stuff. You don't get stuff that the left and the right is in 100% agreement or almost 100% agreement on. And it's Chinese propaganda. No, that's grassroots sentiment, I would say. If you ask me, y'all probably didn't, but I'm going to tell you because you tuned in. Know what I'm saying? This right here is not no proper Chinese propaganda that people are against data centers. So they try to gaslight us and make us think that it's propaganda that people are against data centers. No, people really are against these data centers. As far as I can tell, it seems to be a grassroots phenomenon. So that's the first thing. Don't let them gaslight you and tell you that people are for it. I can't find nobody for it. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I thought about on these data centers. The second point is that when this guy was talking, this Kevin Leary guy, he was talking about it's $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar investment that he's getting the money together for. And because of that, they need to protect them, because here's where he tells you without saying it that they know people hate these. He says he thinks that it's a threat. Him and his company have analyzed it and said a security threat of these data centers is that people are going to use off-the-shelf commercial drones and bomb these commercial centers, these data centers, some kind of way. See that right there? He just told on himself. That the fact that he's considering that, and the fact that his company actually thinks that, and that he mentioned that in public on a talk show, a podcast that has millions of listeners, bigger than most TV shows, bigger than most news shows. Tucker Carlson, I can't even say his name today. Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's show. He said that on this guy's show, knowing millions of people are going to hear it. So that tells you they want you to know it. And it also tells you that they're scared. They think that they have to protect their investments because they know people like us are against them. But here's what that really means too. Let's take it a level deeper. They're afraid and they're going to protect these data centers from drone attacks. That means that, to me, it means they are already preparing what I would say is the legislation and preparation phase of treating us like terrorists. And some people say, oh, you're going too far. No. He says it in there. He says it in the talk show. The guy that's building the data center says this. He says, man, we got to start treating these people like terrorists because it's going to be a terrorism act against the infrastructure. And what that means is, folks, think about this. If they declare this to be terrorism, that means that all your rights go out the window. So if you're opposed to data centers and you send a meme online and they trying to treat it as terrorism, they can get you for that meme. They doing it in Britain right now with racial matters. You can't say anything bad about brown people in Britain, basically. They have a crime wave and just the deterioration of their society, from what I understand, because of all the immigrants they have over there. And because of that, you can't say nothing online. The government will actually send the cops to your door for Facebook posts in Britain, as I understand it. So that's what they're talking about doing here. If they say this is a terrorism related issue and you make a Facebook post about it or a meme, what, you some kind of terrorist or something? That means they can spy on you using, by the way, all this compute, they call it, that these data centers offer, this computational power that these data centers furnish to them. Then I would say to our society. I don't think we get too much out of it at all. We don't get no jobs out of it. We don't get no resources out of it. So just be aware that when they talk about these data centers are going to be attacks for domestic targets for domestic terrorists, what that's really saying is they're going to start treating you like terrorists if you express discontent with them. And what that also means is people will be like, yeah, I think you're reading too much into that. Do you remember Guantanamo Bay? That facility that last time I checked is still open and still has quote unquote terrorists in it who actually have been found not to have been terrorists at all. It's just people that got picked up in the fog of war and the heat of passion, as it were. The craziness of war. They get picked up and scooped up. They might have had a couple of terrorists, but there's people there now that are just like, these guys, nobody wants them back because they've been telling them they terrorists for 25 years. No, of course, but no country wants to take them. So they just stuck there with no rights, no lawyers, none of that stuff. Hopeless cases. And they were getting tortured at one point, as far as I understand. Well, that's what happens when you're a terrorist. You have no rights. So when they start talking about domestic terrorism and data centers and opposition to data centers, man, that right there is scary to me. I fought in the global war on terror. That's the era that I served under in the military. I know what that means. I'm trying to tell you. So don't let them tell you that this is not a grassroots issue, and we can't let them define opposition to data centers as terrorism. And it's going to be used, as always, as a crackdown on society. So they're going to use data centers, our opposition to them, to crack down on us, and then they're going to use the compute power of the data centers to crack down on us. So as you can see, it just ain't it looks to me to be a no-win situation. You don't want these everywhere. I got some articles down here that show you how it's bipartisan, and they show you just how many people are for them and against them. And it shows you that we're actually all on the same side in a way, because no matter what side you're on, left or right, they use these data centers to do things that neither side likes. So here's right here. I got an article called Immigration Privacy Data Advertising. So what they're doing in this article, they talk about how some of the stuff that Trump has signed and some of the technology that's out there, they're using data centers to track immigrants on their phones. Because, these immigrants, they have phones just like everybody else. They're not immigrants. The people they're tracking are illegal aliens. Words have meanings. Immigrant is somebody who legally came to a place and filled out the paperwork and immigrated there. You can't be an immigrant and be illegal. Being an immigrant is being legal. It's a legal status. It's a courtroom status. Right? I ain't talking about the validity of that person. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. The point is, if you support these immigrants, these illegal aliens, okay, good. But guess what? These data centers are going to be used to track them, because everybody has a cell phone. And they can tell exactly where you are. They can serve you at. Man, I don't even want to get into the stuff they can do with your cell phone. Another article I saw from the Army Times, I'll put these links down there. This shows you how it's both sides now. That's a leftist issue, the immigrants. The right issue is, the right likes the military. Says U.S. troops are reportedly being targeted using location data, the Pentagon says. That's an article that's same old thing. This stuff has been known for decades now. That's why you can't, on secret bases that are classified, you can't wear Fitbits, you can't wear none of that stuff, because all that stuff gives your precise location, your precise movements, and it doesn't take too much to get that data. You know what I'm saying? So that article is about the right. The Army has said we don't like our troops being tracked. It's all going to be AI data centers is what it ties back to. Another article I was looking at, Let's see. Let me click on it. It's on Twitter. It's on X. I still call it Twitter. Let me see. Can I open it up? See, this is why I don't like messing with electronics, because it don't never open up when you want it to. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a kind of an unrelated article. Maybe I'll do a show on this next week. But Google is planning to release 32 million mosquitoes, genetically modified bacteria-infected mosquitoes across the country to so-called fight some disease. It's nonsense. Anyway, Google always talking about doing that kind of stuff, and Bill Gates is too. They have a long history of that, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about data centers, right? So these articles that I just mentioned, the first three, talk about left or right, it don't matter. Data centers will be used to destroy, track, trace, hunt, surveil, all the stuff you care about. You care about immigrants, you care about our freedom and our citizens, you care about privacy. Whatever you care about, data centers is anti that. That's my take on it. Whatever you care about, data centers is anti that. That's my take on it right there, for real. And I ain't even joking. I mean, as far as I can tell, this is true. And this ad that I discussed, or this article, is really it gives you something to think about. And gives you some pretty solid links to direct your future searches and researches. That's what I'm talking about, folks. No matter what side you own, these data centers are bad news. And I just wanted to bring you that article because, like I said, I thought it gives you a good jumping off place to continue your understanding. So anyway, Robert Jenkins here. Hope you found something useful here. And if you did, keep tuning in, subscribe, leave some comments, like subscribe, and something. Please do that. And we'll catch you next week, next Thursday a.m. about the same time. 6 a.m. every Thursday, new shows. All right, LBK. Robert Jenkins signing off. Peace.